Hi teachers, this is Lee Nelson and I'm here to introduce to you a site called Kahoot. For me, Kahoot will be replacing a piece of technology which is barely technology at all, at least by today's standards. This is the expert quiz game. I've used it in my classroom for years to turn the classroom environment into a game show environment. And what students don't love, the excitement of ringing in for their answers. Now this site, or this particular device I should say, is very limited by number of players or even teams. And of course, those clunky cords always seem to get in the way. With Kahoot, you are not limited by any of that. With a free account, which is available to you by signing in over here, you will have access to a lot of ways to create a really fun learning environment for your kids, whether it ends up being a unit review. We do follow-up from field trip questions. It's really, no matter what content area you teach or what level you teach, I'm sure you'll find a way for a Kahoot to work for you. When you get to this site, you might want to spend a little time scrolling down, finding out a little bit more about what is Kahoot and how people are using it. I will do a quick demonstration today, but if my demonstration doesn't answer it for you, take a look at that. Your free account, when you sign in, will only take a few minutes, but it will be well worth your time. We'll give you plenty of options, and I actually suggest you spend a little time here as well, going into the frequently asked questions site. That particular part of this page will give you answers for lots of things that you might be thinking about, right down to even when you're creating your quiz, if you're using images, are they copyright free or if they aren't. So it gets into some really good things there that I'm sure you'll find helpful. I'm going to go ahead and click into the quizzes that I've created and get one started to demonstrate so you can see what a Kahoot looks like. So, as we begin, I want you to imagine that what you're looking at right now is my smartboard screen. So when students are on a device, they'll have a chance to join at kahoot.it. Now they don't need to create an account, so there's no need to worry about one more account, one more password, username, all that kind of thing, and it's really easy to join. So what I'll do today is keep this tab open as our smartboard screen. I'll open up another tab that's going to go to the kahoot.it site and pretend that's one of our players. And I'll actually open up another tab, do the same thing, and pretend that those are two different players on their devices at their table spot. Now, as you're setting this up, you can decide how you want to do this, whether you want to have students writing in their own name, or perhaps for keeping things a little more anonymous, maybe they want to do a number, or perhaps they're even in groups as a team and they have a team name. Either way, we need this pin to get things started, 6991. So as the students who are at that site type in 6991, and they always keep the pin nice and simple so it's not too complicated to get things in, and we'll simply call this player 1, and it tells us that we're in, and if we saw our name on the screen, which if we look up at the smartboard, sure enough we see player 1's name is on there. Let's go ahead and set up our player 2, same thing. And now we'll have a two-player game going on for the sake of our demonstration. So here we see player 1, player 2. We're ready to start. As we begin our quiz, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I created my quiz and not be so focused on what the questions are. So I've made my questions nice and simple so we're not distracted about thinking about the answer. So we've got a timer. Timers can be set for more or less than a minute. That's an option while you're creating the quiz. As people are taking the quiz, it's going to keep track of how many answers have come in. And before we run out of time, let me make sure that we give player 1 and player 2 a chance to answer. So again, this is the smartboard screen in the front of the room. Students, when they're looking at theirs, are going to see just some choices and just the symbols at that. So as player 1 looks at the correct answer with this blue space in the hexagon, they'll be seeing their 4 choices, and player 1 simply clicks on that answer. Until all the other players have answered, it doesn't indicate a right or wrong answer just yet. Player 2 maybe made a little bit of a calculation mistake, gave the wrong answer. Now since that completed all the answers coming in, it shows a wrong answer, but it will tell us what the correct answer was. Player 1, however, receives a message saying that your answer is correct, and it also gives an informational piece about Kahoots that they've earned. Let me get to that as we go back to this screen. So our question is done. It tells us, before we click on the next button, what kind of answers came in. How many people answered with the right answer, how many people may have responded with one of the other choices. The scoreboard screen will keep track of the score, or they call them Kahoots, and those are awarded based upon right answers and how much time was taken to answer that question. Wrong answers are not penalized, no points are taken away in that situation. Let's go to our next question and take a look at this again. When you're creating your quiz, it's very easy to create all of your items within their template. They have a space for the question, so that comes up very neatly. They have a space to provide a picture, which again, they have information about using copyright-free images, and they'll give you a choice of either having up to 4 answer spaces or 4 options, maybe 3 or 2, whichever kind of question you want to set up. So again, we've got time winding down. I'm going to take a little bit more time to answer for player 1 and player 2, so that way we'll see how the difference in scoring happens with the timing difference. So this time player 1 is going to get a wrong answer, so we'll go to player 1's screen, which shows the 4 choices. I believe this was dog for this one. And let me make sure I've got the right answer here for player 2, which is this space down here. So as we go back to our screen up front, we see what happens here. We had one answer here, but the correct answer was this one, and we would see how many people gave a correct answer. If for some reason we wanted to see that image again, that was a part of the question, you can always pull that right back up. So as you can see, the developers of this site have really gone into some thoughtful detail as to what it's going to look like and how it's played, and they even give a great discussion board area for suggestions for improvement, which they've already done a lot of those, as I've seen on discussion boards as people have posted things in. Since I want to show you what happens at the end of the quiz, I'm going to go ahead and end our quiz now, even though there are some other questions we could take a look at. But it's going to celebrate our winner here, player 1, with 692 Kahoots. And then we're going to click down here on feedback and results. When we do that, it will give students who are using their device a chance to say how they felt things went. Player 1 here feels very strongly about how things went and is very positive. Player 2, maybe not quite as strongly positive, but still a good experience. And there's the rating there. Back on our smartboard, in real time, you'll see these results come in. And best of all, when you are done, either right away or most likely when you're in your account later, you'll click on a Download Results tab. Doing so will give you a chance to see in great detail how things went with your Kahoot quiz. It throws it into an Excel spreadsheet, which will tell you how each player or group did. It will even review the ratings that came in, and it will give you an item-by-item analysis of who answered which questions correctly, even down to the detail of how much time it took each person. So there's some really great data that comes in at the end of this. So again, whether you're a third grade teacher like I am, or a grade level teacher above or below it, specific to your content, you can come up with all kinds of Kahoots. They could be as short as 2 or 3 questions. It could be as long as 40 or 50. There's really no limit as to how many questions, how many players, or the possibilities. So I hope that you enjoy using Kahoot, and I hope that you've learned a few new things about it. If you need any more information, of course, down here is the website getkahoot.com. We'll get things started for you. Enjoy.